Welcome back to the CHRONO TALK channel. In this video, I will talk about alternatives to ETA movements. This is actually a sequence of this video that will appear on the card here, where I talked about ETA and Selita movements and what are they, a little bit of their history and how they are related. And why I talked specifically about Selita, because it's the most popular ETA clone, not only because it's the better known Selita ETA alternative, but also the most voluminous. It's on the most of the bigger brands outside the Swatch group now. They are all using Selita movements, but there are also another alternatives. Some are clones, other aren't, but they are compatible or even at least good alternatives to the ETA movements. For example, there is an alternative that Hublot made through his own production, which is the UNICO movement. The UNICO movement is actually almost completely compatible to the ETA 7750, which was the original base of the classic Big Bang Hublot watches. And despite being a completely different movement in terms of conception and construction, it is still compatible in terms of dimension, and this saved Hublot from having to redesign the cases, the dials, and the hands, and etc. So they could just transform their older models that used 7750s or other clones of the ETA 7750s to the UNICO without having to modify anything. Basically, they could use the same dial because the place where the feet stands is the same, the place where the screws are placed is the same, the holes and for the hands are the same, and etc. So this is a very smart move to make an alternative without having to change anything else. Another alternative there is the Soprod A-10. It is made by the company with the same name, is the Soprod. It is from the Val de Joux, and its movement, the Soprod A-10, it's not a clone of the ETA 2892, but it's a 100% compatible alternative, which means that you can swap a watch with a ETA 2892 to a Soprod A-10 without changing anything else. You just remove one movement and put another one, and the hands are the same, the fixing point are the same, the hands, the dials are the same, diameter, anything is the same. They are completely compatible in terms of assembly dimensions. And actually, some brands actually did that. Once they ran out of ETA 2892 movements, they started using the Soprod A-10 without having to modify anything. They just swapped one movement to the other. The Soprod are quite very well made movements. They are quite precise, quite accurate. They look very fine, they look very well made, but I know that some brands that started using the Soprods, they actually changed it again against the Selita SW300. I don't know exactly the reasons, but maybe what I know as far as my experience with those movements tell is that some of them may not be as resistant to impacts like the ETAs. Of course, that no watch is designed to receive severe impacts, but ETAs are quite frankly, very robust movements. And to be very honest, no other alternative to ETA until today is as good as them, especially in terms of durability. To be very honest, I tried to, if you see my other video about ETA and Selita, you see that I didn't opinate exactly on which one I like better, and I prefer not to give my totally personal opinion. But there is a fact that some brands gave up using the Soprods and started using the Sellitas SW300. They may have their reasons, but as far as my contact with those Soprods, they were very good movements, and also they have very good escapements. They have one division that it's specialized in making escapement wheels and pallet forks, and they made even custom made for very high watchmaking brands. Also, they are a company with a very good know-how. Another interesting alternative that in this case is actually a clone of the ETA 7750 is the lajoux-perret that was used for by brands like Hublot and especially Baume and Mercier. They use their version, the actual version of the 7750 is actually a lajoux-perret, and as far as I know, those movements, they are really well made. They also made for Hublot, they made some modifications and some improvements, and they are really good, very accurate, very well made movements. Actually, today they are part of the Citizen group, but this doesn't make a difference in terms of manufacturing. They are still manufactured in Switzerland, and they are Swiss-made movements, but they are now part of the Citizen group. There is also another alternative that is not actually an alternative to ETA, but it's the Vaucher movement. Vaucher is one of the biggest movement manufacturers in Switzerland. But the problem is that even though they open their catalog of movements to anyone interested in purchasing them, they are still very expensive movements. So they are out of question to brands that are independent and small and trying to make watches below $1,000 or even $2,000 or even $3,000. Using a Vaucher movement is probably out of question. So that's why they are very good movements, but they are not exactly an alternative to the ETA movements. But anyway, they are a response to that politics of the Swatch Group to stop supplying movements to brands outside the Swatch Group. But there are also some famous clones of the ETA, especially the 2824. The most famous are two of them are Swiss-made and two of them are Chinese. One of the Swiss-made clones of the ETA 2824 is the STP-1-11, which is made by Swiss Technology Production, or STP, which is a brand under the Fossil Group. And as far as I remember, I usually see Zodiac watches with those movements. They appear to be, I don't have extensive experience with them, but they appear to be very well made, very well finished, and it's very difficult to distinguish them from the ETA. Actually, the only way is to check the stamp below the balance wheel, which we will see the STP for the Swiss Technology Production. Another Swiss-made clone is the IT20. This one is a little bit cloudy because I wasn't able to find any more information about them. I noticed that some watches have those movements that look exactly like a ETA 2824. They are claimed to be Swiss made, and they have the IT20 painted on the manplate or in some of the bridges. And as far as I discover, It is from a manufacturer called Inter TSA. And they used to have a website with some information, but the website disappeared. So I think this is a little bit strange. I can't find more information about them. I can give, of course, any opinion about it, but just the fact that you can't find information is a little bit strange. And there are also the Chinese clones of the ETA 2824. A few years ago, they weren't stamped with anything, so you didn't know who manufactured them. But they started now to make their own stamp, like the Seagull TW2830 and also the Hangzou 6301. They are both Chinese copies of the 2824. Again, I can't opinate about their quality and their accuracy. In case you have some watch with those movements, feel free to give your opinion here. But yes, one thing that you really have to pay attention, that I think it's a little bit strange. For example, they try to imitate the balance wheel of the highest ETA grade movements that are made from glucidur. Glucidur is a beryllium bronze alloy, which is very hard and very resistant to thermal variations and that, etc. And they try to emulate the look of those balance wheels, as though I am 100% sure that they are not made of glucidur, because glucidur is very expensive. All the highest grade movements made in Switzerland, all the best movements in Switzerland have balance wheels made of glucidur, and one single balance wheel made of glucidur costs more than the entire Chinese movement. So it's honestly out of question. And I think that some of those Swiss clones also use those balance wheels, but of course that they are not made of glucidur. So I think this is again a little bit shady, but well, I cannot opinate more than that about this. And at the end, one thing that you have to pay some attention is that, as I told on the video about ETA and Selita, some brands still bring on their specs that they use ETA movements when they actually use Selita movements. Of course, that bigger brands don't do this or don't do this on purpose, but I saw some boutique brands using the ETA on the specs when I know that they actually use the Selita, and I don't know if this is maybe an attempt to make people think that they use a better movement than they actually use. Not that the ETA is actually better than the Selita, but they are the classic, and as I said, to my opinion, no other clone or imitation of the ETA is with the same quality as the ETA. The ETA is still the best in my opinion. But what I see happening as well is that some other brands claim that they use Sellitas when they actually don't use Sellitas. They use Chinese copies or some other obscure Swiss clones. So yeah, this is a little bit strange as well. So I have to tell you to pay attention to that and don't believe 100% on what you see on those specs of those movements. And there is also another alternative that is, they are not exactly compatible or a clone of the ETA 2824 or any other ETA, but they are a less expensive alternative to brands that want to have a Swiss-made movement, and this is the Claro-Semag. The Claro CL 888, which is what this movement is called, is you can see this on very entry-level mechanical Swiss watches. But the thing that is a little bit strange is that I already saw people comparing them to some Chinese movements, which suggests that they are actually Swiss clones of Chinese movements. And this is because the Swiss made law is actually a little bit permissive, and they allow you to transform something that is not completely made in Switzerland, depending on how much of workforce or other components or added value you have that is from Switzerland. Depending on how much of this you have on the movement, you can call that movement as Swiss made, and thus you can call a watch that uses this movement as a Swiss made. But this is a little bit obscure as well, because as I saw, you just Google it to see yourself, that some people actually even disassembled some Seagull, if not mistaken, the Seagull ST16, and some of those Claro-Semag movements, and compare them, and they are basically the same movement, okay, but one is Chinese and the other one is Swiss made. And well, this is again a little bit shady, so again I cannot opinate more than that, but that's just for your information. And that's it. Hope you learned something new from this video. Don't forget to subscribe in case you didn't yet. It's very important to subscribe, because this is a metric that it's important to YouTube to give more visibility to the channel. And hope you like it, and stay tuned.